Hi everyone, Coach Wheeler, hurdles coach from Indiana Tech. I've got another video review of a young lady who sent me a video. We just did our Indiana Tech track camp yesterday, and she was at camp and asked me to take a look at one of her videos here. So we're going to do that today. She is going into her senior year, and she is a pretty solid hurdler here. So I've taken a look at this video already, and we're going to get through it pretty quickly here. But I promised her I would try to get this out as quick as I possibly could to her. So here we go on into the next steps, and we'll take a look at her video. Okay, so we've got her video up here. She's going to be the young lady in lane 6, and she's in the upright position right here. And we'll get rolling here. So we're going to go full speed the first one, maybe 2 times. Take a look at what she looks like going full speed, and then I'm going to drop it. I'll slow it down. We can take a look at some of the strong points that she's got, and some of the things that she might need to work on for her next upcoming season. So we'll take a look here. Okay. Oh, she's really strong. I can tell you that right now. All right, very good. We'll stop it here, and we'll go back. All right, so the first thing I want to really focus on here is the most important part of the race is going to be start the first hurdle. If you're not good to the first hurdle, then you're going to struggle recovering from that start, one, or secondly, that you are going to have an issue just crossing the hurdles and getting in the right position with balance and those types of things. So let's take a look at what she looks like coming out of the blocks here. Okay, first thing that I'm seeing is I love this back arm. That's a great push into that front pedal. So we've got shoulders, hips, knee, and ankle all are in a straight line here. And if I can do this really quickly and get this up. So what I'm seeing here is going to be head, shoulder, hip, knee, and ankle are all in a straight line. Okay, so that's really what I'm looking for in this position here. Hopefully when she rolls to the next position that she's going to be in the same alignment. But I am going to go back because there is something with that I want to see. So she's casting back into the track into her second step, and we're a little bit short, and the reason is because of her attack angle. She casts back into her third step, which is good, and then the fourth step drops under the hip there. So her first 3 strides are really are very solid, very strong. So those look really good. The thing that's kind of sticking out to me right away is her urgency to look for the hurdle. I want her. She is locating the hurdle right there. She hasn't even been on touchdown on that first step, and she's already looking for the hurdle. And I want to train my athletes, my hurdlers, to not even think about the hurdle until you're getting into the third step, but the fourth step is ideal. Fifth step, you're really doing well if you can get into the fifth step without looking for the hurdle. I want her focus, because that's what happens is she's not focused on the push when she's trying to locate the hurdle. So I want her to push in her first 3 steps before she looks. Uh, and I will, and this is kind of a nice example here. The girl that's right next to her in lane five, she's got a really good back elbow, really good push, but she see how she's holding that angle a little bit better. That's where I want her to be. Now that girl goes one, two, three, and then she looks. So she's she got a little better force application in her first three strides than what Elena has here. Um, and I just want to make sure. Yeah, it's really, really, it's very good, but she can eke out a little more force into the track, which is going to allow her to get some more speed. Other than that, looks pretty good. Let's see it where she is. That's unusual. Okay, I want you to kind of take a look at this. We've got kind of a penultimate step that's going on here. So her stride length is open, and then she chop steps right here. I don't know if you noticed that, but a chop step or a cut step is a step that you take before the hurdle, and it should be a shorter stride length to get under the hip to not drive the hips up in the air. Good stride length there, and then watch how low she carries the foot here. See how low that foot is, and she drops it right under the hips. That's a great chop step, but unfortunately, it's a step before she gets to the hurdle. So should be the step where she has the chops. Oh no, it's actually she shortens up two strides before that. Okay. She has to drive through the hurdle. She's locating and trying to make adjustments, and she can't do that. There's got to be just a total attack of the hurdle. The only time she cuts that stride pattern off or that push into the hurdle is going to be the step before the hurdle. And she's got a small one there. Then she opens up, and this is her step before the hurdle. And okay, and she's close to the hurdle, and I can tell that by what's happening with watch how she wraps that ankle around. It's to the outside, and she shouldn't have to do that if she has a proper cut step going into the hurdle. So what I'm looking for here is where is that cut step in relationship to where her hips are, and it's in front of it. See how her hips, her hips here are are here. She opens up and here, and then it drops straight down, and that needs to be back a little bit further here underneath the hip. So she needs to develop that chop step before the hurdle and stop judging where the hurdle is at. That hurdle never moves. I always tell my athletes this is that, there's no need to look for it because it's in the same position forever, whether or not you're a 9, 8, or you're a 7 stride pattern to that first hurdle. There's no need to be looking for it because it's continuously going to be in the same exact spot every single time. A hurdle doesn't bounce around or doesn't move on you when you're starting a race. So there's no need to really to look for that stride pattern in practice. As you practice, should get you to the hurdle where you need to be. So watch what's going to happen here. Her hips are going to rise over the hurdle. I guarantee she's going to float. Yeah, that's a lot of space in between that stick and her hip height, which is telling me that she's floating. So she's floating up over the top, and we want to get that parabola just a little bit lower on top of the hurdle. So and touchdown is very good. It's right under the hip. That's good. Let's see if she's keeping that back trail leg angle open. No, she tucks the heel under the hip, which is very, very common. A lot of coaches teach this. I don't. I want to keep that angle open. I want to keep that hip, knee, ankle open to a 90-degree angle. You're going to get a larger rotation. When you get a larger rotation, you're putting more force into the track with the touchdown of the first foot. And that's what I want. Same principles coming out of the blocks. I want a ton of force for a long period of time. This is the foot that touches down off of the hurdle. out of all of the 3 steps that you take in between that you should have on the ground for the most period of time. That's really what I'm looking for. So she should have a little bit bigger rotation through, and that's going to push you through. Now, that foot comes down underneath the hip, which is really good. But what I'm noticing here is there's an over rotation, which tells me that her wrap arm is either too far in front. No, it's in a good position, or her free side or her opposite arm is too far back. Yep. And see how far back behind the hip it is here? I want that hand to be at the thigh. That will eliminate any over rotation, and we don't want any over rotation. Touchdown. See that rotation there? Now she's coming up the track from side to side instead of straight up and down, which is what we want her to do. Now she's really strong, so she's able to recover from that very, very quickly. And there's another thing that we're doing here that is causing an over rotation, which is she's not overly aggressive with her press. And the press is going to be that shoulder, hip, knee angle that comes to the track here. Yeah, and she overstrides, and force impact is in front of the hip here because she feels like she's too far away, or else she's not getting enough push because she tucks the heel under the butt when she's coming off of this hurdle. And this is why this is so important for people to, for coaches and for parents that are just generally watching a hurdle, is when she comes down off of the hurdle and she doesn't tuck. Yes, that foot gets down quick, but she's not putting a lot of force into the track, one, which is eliminating or scrubbing speed off. She's over rotated, which is scrubbing speed off. And that's a really good positioning there. And she's pretty straight up and down, and I like that about it. And that is a really tough thing to coach and to teach, is to get kids to get their shoulders up so there's no collapse of the knee. But she feels like she's too far away because she scrubbed all that speed off of with those mechanics up top on that last hurdle. So she reaches out in front. Look at that! Look at that foot, how it wraps to the side, because now that she's reached, because she feels like the speed isn't there, she's reached for the hurdle, and now she's too close to the hurdle, and she wraps that leg around the front of the hurdle. I hope you guys can see that, because this is a great demonstration of what it looks like when an athlete's too close to the hurdle. She wraps it around. Now watch this hip height on top of the hurdle. See how high she is? This is floating. This is what you should be looking for when we're talking about floating over the hurdle. Um, take a look at the wrap arm and the free side. Okay, I can just tell right now. Look at that free side. Look how far back that is. That's pretty far back. There's already over rotation. She sweeps the knee with the wrist, which is really good. Touchdown under the hips, which is really good. But when she punches back up, she has to recover. Watch when she has to recover here there's an over rotation there. When she has to recover, she's going to recover by swinging back across the body. See that? I'll guarantee you this hand, if we're looking straight on, is going to be across the midline of the body here. And that's really what I'm trying to eliminate. Again, we've got a small reach in front because she feels like she doesn't have the speed there to get there. So she reaches in front, wraps the leg around, and look how high over the hurdle she is. And wrap arm is way behind the feet, or behind the hip, and I want that hand to be right here in this position as she goes through. Touchdown is really good off of there. That's a decent split. Let's just see if if the hips travel. What we want to look for is those hips to travel under force impact. Okay, she's a little bit in front. Now we got a big collapse of the knee, which means that her hips aren't drawn. So she needs to push even harder right here. She needs to push up as hard as she can, and that will get those hips up. Big reach there. She's in front, and she's going to feel like she needs in front again. And look at how big this collapse is here. There's so much speed. Whatever this the time that she ran here, she can do it get a ton more time out of this. And I know that I'm really dissecting the crap out of this, and I appreciate that. It's really not terrible, but there is some room for improvement. Look at how far in front the foot is in front of the knee. So we've got ankle, knee, knee, hip, hip, shoulder. See those angles? Those aren't good. We want her on touchdown to be straight up, just like this. So she's really got to develop and work on getting that foot down as quickly and as hard as she can. She needs to jab that thing into the ground quicker and keep it away from the hurdle. And it's a kind of a scary process because if you do that on force impact, her foot will be probably a shoe back from where she's at. But the speed that she will gain when she does that will keep that parabola down. And the parabola is the travel that's over the top of the hurdle. You want that parabola to be lower. Let me get rid of these lines here so we can move forward. So we're looking at that drive of the knee. You can see it wrap around a little bit. Good wrap arm here. Free side is really far back now. It's kind of obscure because of the girl behind her, but you can see that wrap arm is really extended back there. Good sweep of the knee there. Force impact is pretty close. We can get it down a little bit quicker, but I mean, look at the distance. Look at the distance from where she has touchdown as to where the hurdle is. We need her to be, I mean, at least 3 shoes back from where she's at. We want all of that travel to be in front of the stick instead of behind it. And the reason why that travel is there is because we're floating. And the reason why we're floating is because we're not jabbing that foot down on a chop step. So one thing leads to another, compounds to another, and when you're looking at hurdlers and watching them hurdle, if they're doing one thing wrong, look at that collapse. She's got to get her hips up in the air. She's scrubbing off a ton of speed there. Chop step is in front of the hip. Now watch her float up into the air. Yeah, she's driving way high over the top of the hurdle. And look at that free side. See how far back this hand is. We've got hand to elbow, elbow to shoulder, and then the shoulders are over rotated at this point. So now we're doing side to side motions instead of that we're doing straight on. So it's another thing that we want to look at there. Touchdown, pretty good there, but look at that over rotation. Those arms are wide open. Those angles have to be closed. What I mean by those angles, thank you for asking. Those angles are going to be the wrist right there. Look at that. The wrist to elbow to shoulder on both sides have got to be closed. They don't have to. They need to be more of a 90-degree angle instead of at a 180 or 160, and they're there. So she pushes as hard as she can off of there, reaches out in front because she doesn't feel she has the speed. Keeps her hips low, so we're losing speed there. All that energy is being dissipated up into the spine erectors. Reaches out in front, and then again we're really high over the top. Look at this free side. So those are just, I mean, those are trainable things that are happening. So let's go back. I'm going to go back here and we'll go full speed again. And we'll watch it. Let me just slow it down just a little bit and we can kind of see some of those things that are happening in more of a slower motion. I mean, she's got really strong, really strong. More aggressive with the press. Get your hips up in the air, get your shoulders up in the air on the sprint side. We are sprinters that hurdle, not hurdlers that sprint. Pulling with the elbow to the outside because of that wrap arm is too far back. So we're not sweeping the knee, we're pulling with the elbow. There is so much potential with this girl. I would love the opportunity to work with her. I think that she could be just a top tier hurdler in the state of Ohio if I had that opportunity. Because she's just there's some such fundamental mistakes. And what I really like about it, she doesn't have any fear at all. Um, she, there is no, she's not afraid of the hurdles, which is great. We want to eliminate any fear because it gives us the freedom to run fast, and that is a Curtis Fry quote that I like to say. But yeah, so that's what we're looking at. Overall, really strong hurdler, just ticky tacky, things, and one thing compounds to another, leads to another. There's a ton of time that we're taking off of the table here, but overall, very solid hurdler. And I think if she's able to fix one thing or two things, if I were to attack this athlete, I would work on getting a chop step down and maybe the freeze side and the wrap arm sweeping the knee instead of pulling to the side. So those are kind of a couple things that I would look at working on. All right, so there you have it. Not a bad race. Really good. And let's get some information out. So if you have any questions, concerns, make sure that you like the video and subscribe. That gets this information out. And if you have any comments, put them down there. I'm really interested in what people are saying. I have a lot of people, kids, athletes, parents that I work with, and they'll ask me questions when I'm working with them, and they won't respond here in the comments. So it's really important to get that information out to me. That way, I can reach out to more people on that side of it. I'm just trying to help coaches and parents be better at the craft. I've spent a lot of time doing this, so hopefully we can really help some people out. So don't forget to like and subscribe and send a message if you need to or want to, and I'll respond to that. And looking forward to making the next one, and I'll see you guys soon.